Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Eardley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome. It is episode 71 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My name's Catherine Eardley and I'm your host as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club, which is my membership group for product businesses. You can find out more at resilientretailclub.com. And if you use the code 10podcasts, that's 10podcast, you can get £10 off your first month. So today I am joined by Ekau Cant, who is a career advisor as well as mindset expert, and she is talking all about a very important topic, which is self-care for entrepreneurs at this very, very busy time of year. So tune in to listen to Ekau's top tips on how to look after yourself at this busy time, as well as why self-care is such an important thing for entrepreneurs to get right. Welcome to the podcast, Ekau. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi. Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Do you want to kick us off by telling everyone a little bit about you?
Yeah, of course. That would be great. So my name is Ekau Cant. I am a career coach and I work solely with women. I'm really focused on helping women to unleash their potential by understanding their mindset and really defining what career success means to them. So I'm the author of a book called Be Your No.1 Cheerleader.
Love that.
Yes. And that book really is about using a growth mindset, being optimistic, being positive in business, career, and in life, and how you can do that. So essentially, I give short synopsis of my dabblings in startups and how being entrepreneurial has really helped me both in career and in life, how things have gone wrong and how I've recovered from them, and how I've really learned that the mindset is really the key to helping you to have success in any part of your life.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I mean, I'm such a believer in mindset. I think it's so crucial. And I love that phrase, be your #1 cheerleader. That is such great advice. And I feel like if you're running a small business and you're kind of by yourself a lot of the time, it can be very easy to get into your head, can't it?
No, I absolutely agree. And one of the big lessons that I share in the book is about burnout and how I was doing a startup prior to doing my coaching business, where I'm a person who's naturally creative and loves to, launch ideas. The business that I was running was a startup called Drink Spot, and essentially it had 3 service lines when it should have had 1.
Right.
You can tell how this went. So essentially, I burnt out. But let me just briefly give you the story. The startup was all about actually providing craft drinks to offices for celebrations, for events and that kind of thing. But I not only wanted to give those independent drink suppliers a bigger market, I wanted to use technology to facilitate getting their drinks from A to B quite quickly. So there was an on-demand drink service, which we created by having a chatbot that integrated into a program called Slack, which a lot of offices use. So we thought that would be really cool. Yeah. Secondly, there was the event service. So I wanted to provide you with a really nice drinks experience. So that meant we would hire waiters for you. We would provide everything that you need for like a James Bond drinks experience, essentially. Yeah. And the final piece was the drinks robot. And you're going to be like, really? A drinks robot? Yes, a drinks robot. The idea was to hire out basically a drinks robot for corporate events. And there is a robot that can serve you drinks, but not actually make drinks. It doesn't have like hands to actually mix drinks. Right. It essentially has a drinks tray and you can program it to speak and interact with people.
Wow, that's amazing. But this unfortunately led to you burning out.
Yes, unfortunately that led to me burning out, and then valuable lessons about focus and really trying to get help and delegate when you need to.
Okay, great. Well, that brings us on perfectly to our topic. So this is crunch time. So that's kind of where I wanted to start. Was you mentioned burnout, which is a real thing. I mean, it really happens, and it's something that I think that we all need to be mindful of. So how would you suggest people look after themselves when things start getting busy, or you're at this very busy time of year?
Yes. So I think that it's really important to realize that looking after yourself and making sure that you're healthy is taking care of business. And I know it's very tempting as a small business owner and as someone who is still a small business owner, to think that taking time to rest, have breaks and have holidays is kind of something that's non-essential. I have to tell you that it really is essential, because the reason that is when you get ill and you can't actually do work, that's time that you have to take off. You can't do anything about that. If you're sick, you literally cannot work.
Yeah.
So if you try to build in scheduled time, and I know again, people are going to be like, oh, but I don't have the time. But making the time actually saves you time, because then you're less ill and you're able to do more of the things that you want to do. So one of the key things I'm going to say is schedule in, rest time during the week or the weekends, but know that it's in the diary. And every week you have 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is that you can manage. And that time is solely for rest. The second thing is actually investing in a good morning routine, because how you start the day really actually helps you be more productive, energized, and also helps you to look after yourself. So I'm a huge fan of spending time in the morning. Now, again, you're going to be like, well, I don't have time, I'm busy, yeah. But, it can take between 6 minutes or an hour, depending on how big you want to go on a morning routine. So simple things like, doing a bit of exercise, having a gratitude process where you think about the things that you're grateful for, spending time reflecting and sort of envisioning how you're going to get to the day in a positive way, but also imagining things that you think are going to be hard for you during the day and imagining that thing going well for yourself. So you've already kind of like thought about the challenges that you might face and how you might overcome them, like in your mind. And that just helps you by the time you get there, you're like, oh, actually, I already thought about how I might approach, this problem. And now I've got some ideas as to how to overcome that problem. So that's just a couple of things that I would recommend.
Yeah, that's great. So starting off with the scheduling thing, the thing that always pops into my mind when you talk about scheduling in rest is that something that an interview I was reading with Mo Farah, or it was about an article about Mo Farah, the runner, and how he has two teams, one team that looks at his training and one team that looks at his rest and recovery. And it was the fact that they were on equal footing, that the rest and recovery was as important as the training. And I still don't think I get it right. I still think that that's something that I still need to hammer home. But I love what you're saying there about scheduling it in. So like making an appointment in the diary for yourself.
Absolutely. Scheduling in the diary, in your Google Outlook or whatever it is that you use. It's like you schedule meetings with everyone else but yourself, but actually sometimes you actually schedule meetings for yourself, and that time is the rest time. And a tip that I've recently learned from my new coach is making it a color that you like and enjoy. When you see it pop up, you're like, oh, it's time for rest.
Oh yeah, I like that. So when it comes up in your calendar, it's like, oh, what a lovely color.
Yes.
You just get a nice feeling about it. It's funnily enough, I just switched the colors around on my calendar, but it was like a blanket thing, like the main color is different, but it does make me feel differently about it when you see it and you're like, oh, that's a nice color. And then going back to your point about then the morning routine, so kind of setting yourself up for the day, again, was kind of building that, putting that in the most important thing in first. Is that how you describe it?
Sorry, it's not, no, it's taking a step back from that. I'm talking about not even getting on your laptop or your phone. I'm talking about getting yourself into the mindset that you need before you even switch on the laptop, look at the phone, or start to plan the day. This is more about getting yourself energized, getting yourself mentally clear and focused, making sure that you're ready to actually go forward into the day.
So having a look through, and as you said, I loved what you said there about identifying the challenges and almost kind of imagining them going well.
Yeah, so a visualization process is really important. And in fact, there is a guru of morning routine. I may as well just mention him just in case your listeners want to look him up. So he has founded this practice called the Miracle Morning.
Okay.
And his name is called Hal Elrod, I think.
Okay.
And essentially it has like 6 main things that you go through. And the main acronym is called SAVERS. So I think it's something like, energize and exercise, have a gratitude routine, do a bit of reading to reflect, visualize, and kind of like go through things in your mind that you want to overcome.
The miracle morning. Okay, we'll put the link in the show notes. It sounds like a great one for people looking to get started, and a great, so solid base for the day.
Yeah, and I think something that I didn't say is having a solid sleep routine, because that also helps you, be focused, be able to get done the work that you need to do. And also, it's not necessarily about something that you're scheduling in. It's something that you're just trying to make sure that you have enough sleep so that you are able to be productive. And it's, that is a good self-care habit, because although it sounds very easy to kind of like underplay, but actually it's got a really strong bearing on, again, how productive and well you're able to perform during the day and the week.
Right. Yeah. Getting enough sleep in. Oh, that's so true. It's one of the things that I think that you just can't underestimate the importance of that. So some people may, as you said, be saying, all right, well, I'm just so swamped right now. Is there even one small thing that you think that people can do?
I would say delegate, and know that you're able to delegate, and ask for help, because I think those two things, like once you're able and comfortable to get on board those things, it unlocks a lot of pressure and releases a lot of stress.
Right. And you said this was a big learning that you'd had from your small business experience.
Yeah, because I, as someone who's got a lot of energy, just felt like I could just do everything. And whilst I can, this is the thing that I've really learned. Whilst you can do a lot of things, it doesn't mean that you should do everything.
That is such a good point. So even if you can do everything, doesn't mean you should. So what do you think a good kind of delegation looks like? Like what to you kind of is when you're working with people on their delegation, kind of, I guess control is such a big part of it, right? How do you get people to start not losing control, but letting go of control a little bit?
Yeah. So it's like the things that that, okay, well, they're important to do in your business, but they're not essential if you don't personally do them. So, I wouldn't suggest that you delegate things that are crucial to your business, like, having creative input and producing the product and making sure that the product is made right and correctly. But things like marketing or things like packaging it and getting it ready to be sent out are things that you could probably delegate to somebody else.
Yeah. Is there a tip for kind of working out, like you said, how do you think, is there a rule of thumb of working out what can be delegated versus what can't be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the rule of thumb would be like, if that thing was to go like really wrong, how would you feel, first of all? But then you have to like be mindful of your control tendencies. So you would have to caution yourself as to like, okay, yes, I'm going to feel bad if anything goes wrong. But what would be like really like the thing that's really going to impact your business if it seriously did go wrong, that that actually this is something that I probably should do, but actually even though some other minor things could go wrong, they are not going to be as impactful. So I think you need to kind of like weigh the impact of the thing that you fear most going wrong against the delegation of what you want to delegate.
Right. So kind of ring fence the things that you absolutely need to, but then challenge yourself to think, okay, well, what could I get some help with? I just wanted to touch again on, you talked about ask for help. So I suppose that can be delegation, but that could be other things as well, right?
Yeah. So I mean, asking for help could be literally like, just finding a release to talk to like either other people in your industry, friends, families, colleagues, and kind of like not suffering alone. But I think the other thing is actually to get an accountability buddy, especially if you do struggle with taking time out for yourself. And especially a peer in your industry who's doing a similar kind of work, or even, someone in a synergetic industry, to be like accountable, like, hey, I struggle with like taking time for rest, or I struggle with delegation. Maybe we could like every week or, every 2 weeks or whatever, I'm just checking in with each other and just find out how we're getting on with that. So just so that you know that you have someone else to speak to about it.
That's such a great idea. I love that, because when we think about accountability buddies, often we think about using them in a way to get more done. Like, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z for my business in the next, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then you're checking in with your accountability buddy. Did you get it done? Did you get it done? But I love this because you're talking about using the accountability buddy to actually help you prioritize your wellness.
Yes. And that's why it's so powerful, though, because someone else is going to check on you and you'll be like, oh my gosh, have I done
that? Did I go out for that run this morning?
Exactly.
Yeah. Did I switch off at 6 o'clock and give my brain a break?
Exactly. Did I switch off my work mobile? Did I stop my alerts between this time and this time? Did I take that hour in my diary which I scheduled that I said I was going to?
Yeah. All great things. Yeah, and I think you touched on an interesting point there about alerts as well. So is that something else that you recommend for people with kind of when they're trying to balance their self-care, that almost switching off the inputs?
Yes, no, I definitely agree. I think that alerts can be used both powerfully for actually giving ourselves time to actually do things that we want to do, but also making sure that we down tools and we take those breaks. So again, my coach, she has like an alarm for everything. And it's not just for like, waking up. It's actually an alarm for like, actually, no, it's time to actually stop working. It's time to actually only be doing things that replenish me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I find that in my business as well. I find that if I know that I've got a stopping time, okay, I'm gonna stop at this time. I think it actually helps me then just get more focused throughout the day. Because I think sometimes the tendency when you've got a small business is, do you kind of let it go? Oh, well, I could always squeeze a bit of extra work in here, there, and everywhere. And then it means that you're not as focused as being productive during the day, but then it also eats into that wellness time as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
So going back to your experience as being a small business owner, do you think do you feel like if you'd been able to delegate more, then it would have avoided the burnout?
I think it's, well, the delegation piece, but I think the other crucial piece was the always being on piece. I think as a small business owner, like there is that sort of like guilt, the business guilt. Like you have mum guilt, but I think you've got entrepreneur guilt when you think about putting it down for a bit when you're the sole person or one of two people in that enterprise. And I think that learning that not always being on actually is beneficial for you being able to, push your business forward in the way that you want to.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's so true. I love that entrepreneur guilt. It's like your business baby is calling to you. But ultimately, I suppose then it's about what's the long-term health of the business. Like as you said, I think it's one of the first things you said was that people need to start thinking about the fact that looking after yourself is looking after the business.
Yes, no, I totally agree 100%. And it's really easy to lose sight of that fact because we're all like, we need to be doing, producing. But, sometimes we need to not be producing so that we can actually be more creative and actually be able to have the inspiration and the ideas and that space to be able to actually really push forward in the way that we want to. But if we don't give ourselves that break, we don't have that moment to reflect or to rest, and we don't get that time to be in a different energy so that we're actually like, oh, yeah, okay, I can see this thing differently. Or actually, ooh, I've been going through this path. I'm not sure. Maybe I should ask a peer. Maybe I should, get some advice or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a different perspective, right?
Yes, I think having time for a different perspective and knowing that, like, getting advice is definitely something that's powerful and helps to strengthen your business. And it's not something that, means that you're not coping your business or that you're weak or that, somehow you don't have you don't have it all sorted out. And I think that's part of the whole, like, I think the fantasy of being an entrepreneur, that somehow it's a straight line, it never is. And that you have to know everything and you don't. The point is that actually harnessing other people's talents and skills to help you to get where you want to go to is super efficient, but also really helps to ensure that you don't have to, go through some of the learnings that other people have already been through before you who are doing similar things.
Right. And whereas if you hadn't asked for help and you hadn't reached out, you might never have benefited from that and it's just taking you even longer.
Exactly. And you never know.
You never know. Oh, you never know that you didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So any final tips then for people at this busy time of year who are looking to improve looking to basically not burn out, I suppose is the long and the short of it, right?
Yeah. So I think that my final and crucial tip for this time of the year especially is be okay with saying no. No is okay. And no is really important at this time of year because it protects your energy, your time, and also allows you to stay well.
So what does that, so just being really picky, I suppose, is that the right word for about what you agree to?
Yeah, I think it's being super focused about, with what time of day is available, like left this year, what's really important to you. And whether that's phrase balancing your business and your family, making sure that you don't say yes to things which ultimately will not be that impactful or don't need to be done right now. And there's always the thing about, you can delay things and you can do things at another point, but don't say, yes when you really mean no, and really say no without guilt and knowing that it doesn't mean it's the end of the opportunity. It just means perhaps it's not right now.
It's not a no forever, it's a no for now.
Yes.
Yeah. And I definitely think one of the things I suggest to people as well is to have a conversation with their families. Sometimes there's perception of, oh, it's your little business or this kind of thing. And really talking to them about, okay, this is what's going on for me. These couple of months, I just have to focus, or I just have to really, this is what's going on in the business and I need your support, rather than kind of muddling on or just not addressing the fact that they're still making demands of you, even when you're just absolutely at max capacity.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Having open communication with your family and your partner, especially at this time of year, will really help you to kind of, not have that burden in your mind alone, because obviously mental strain at the time of year is very high. And so if you're able to communicate and know that, yes, they may not necessarily agree with everything that you have to say, but at least they're aware, and you can come to a compromise. And you can also, again, when you're doing your moments of downtime and wellness, perhaps include them at relevant points when you can.
Right. So it's not like you're cutting them out. You're just trying to include them as part of that. So if anyone's listening and feeling overwhelmed, we've got schedule in wellness, make an appointment, right? Get it in the diary. A morning routine. I love that. And we'll put the link to the miracle mornings. It sounds like the perfect way for people to start their day. And delegating where you can, looking at everything that you can offload. I know it's always hard, especially if you're right in the middle of things being busy, to kind of get people in and train them. But even if you're like thinking about whatever you can do, just that little bit of help and assistance. And saying no, such a good one. No is a complete sentence.
Yes, no, exactly.
Because I feel like a lot of people struggle with them saying no because they feel like they have to give a long explanation. But of course, we're not talking about pushing people away, but just, as you said, protecting your boundaries. Is that how you'd put it?
Yeah, I'm protecting your boundaries and your energy, and no, not right now.
Yeah, not right now. Right now, I'm busy under a big pile of orders.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for that. I think that's really, and thank you for sharing your story as well. I think it's really useful to reflect on avoiding burnout, right? I mean, that's kind of the key. So thank you, Ekau. Do you want to tell us where people can find out more?
Yes, sure. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's Ekau Cant. I'm there like 5 days a week. I have a lot of free materials that people can access. And on my website, you can get a copy of the book if that's of interest.
Okay, wonderful. We'll put those links in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you have a restful Christmas.
I hope the same for you too.
Thank you so much for listening. Why not head over to Instagram at Resilient Retail Club and share where you were listening to the podcast. I always love to see the photos of where people are tuning in. And also let me know what's something that you're going to be doing to make self-care a priority for you this Christmas time. In the meantime, though, if you have a second to rate and review the podcast over on iTunes, then it means the absolute world to me. And thank you so much to everyone who's already done so. If you hit subscribe, then you will be the first to know about each new episode when it's released. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.